Wow, good evening, everybody, or good afternoon if you're in the States, or in the middle of the night if you're in Asia. But I'm coming to you at the moment live in the KISS public group to do the May Challenge Day 1 Part 2 video. If you're catching this on YouTube, then welcome. But you can catch me live and the rest of these videos live potentially in the KISS public group. If you're not a part of that Facebook quite yet, then all you need to do is head to the links in the description of this video and you can come and join us. Meaning next time I do one of these May Challenge videos or anything else, that you could be watching me live and you can drop in and ask questions or make comments or just say hi. So that would be great. So yeah, coming to you live this evening with our part 2. So this morning I talked a little bit about what we're going to be doing during this May Challenge. Tonight I'm going to go a little bit deeper, got a few more minutes because I'm back from work now, and we can have a chat about the challenge itself, the sorts of changes you're going to make, and then we're going to finish off with some real deep mindset stuff. We're going to start ditching some excuses, looking at the obstacles or whether there are any obstacles to us achieving what we want to achieve in May, and hopefully leave at the end of this session feeling really, really highly motivated. So if you've got comments as we go along, then please do drop them. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, I would love your comments below, and make sure obviously you subscribe to the channel and click the notifications bell so that you know every time I do one of these videos. You have to excuse me, I've got a really itchy eye tonight, not quite sure why, something to do with cheap makeup probably. Okay. So let's get on with it then. So the first thing we talked about is ditching sugar this morning. Now, why are we ditching sugar? Well, for a good reason. Sugar not only makes us fat, but sugar also is involved in most of the degenerative and chronic health conditions that a lot of the Western world is suffering at the moment. If you look around you at the number of people who are suffering with being overweight, being obese, having fatty livers, having diabetes, having heart disease, problems with their arteries, strokes. So many of these things come down to diet and lifestyle, and sugar is the #1 baddie when we're talking about these things. So the first thing that we're going to ditch in our May Challenge is sugar. Now, where do you find sugar? Well, it's not just that white stuff that you're putting in your cereal and in your tea and in your coffee. That's just one place that you get sugar. In fact, most of the sugar that you're taking in is already in the food that you're eating. Commercial foods, processed foods, are really, really, really high in sugar. So you're going to be seeing the sugar in pretty much everything that you're buying. So the first thing I need you to do is start looking at those food labels before you buy anything else. Have a look at it. Have they added sugar into that product? Sugar will be an ingredient. Now, sugar is just one of the names that the food industry give this stuff. It's also called all sorts of other things. They call it syrups, they call it fruit puree, they call it cane sugar juice. There's so many different names for sugar. Start getting savvy, start understanding that if there is a high number of carbohydrates in that product, if there's some sort of sweetener or flavorings, or it's been used as a preservative, there may well be sugar in that food. Now, the easy way to stay away from sugar is to eat whole foods. So if you get yourself the KISS shopping list, and I know there was an issue with it today, and I'm really sorry, but the glitch is now fixed. So if you head onto the KISS website and you do subscribe to the website, then you're going to get a download of the KISS shopping list. On there are completely safe, 100% keto foods. And if you're using that list, you really can't go wrong, because I haven't put anything on there that's going to give you a significant insulin response or is going to make you gain weight. So those are the foods that we're looking to put into our diet and to create our meals out of over the next month. So yeah, sugar, gone. Okay, next then, the next thing I've said that we're going to ditch in our May Challenge is grain. Now, the difference between KISS and some of the other keto groups that you may have come across in your time is that we are quite strict in what we choose to eat and what we don't choose to eat. And one of the things that is a real no-no on KISS is grain. Now, not only is grain high in carbohydrate, which when it hits the blood turns into sugar, the body doesn't see starches any differently from the way it sees sugar. It has the same response in terms of stimulating insulin and making us lay down body fat. So not only is it high in carbs, but grain is also quite inflammatory and is linked to a lot of the health conditions that we talked about. The also thing that grain does is actually affects our brain. And if anyone's really interested in that, go and Google the grain brain to understand how grain is potentially linked to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and degenerative conditions of the brain. So have a look into that. So we're going to get rid of grain. Now, where will you find grain? Everywhere. So if you think that everything with wheat flour, rice flour, corn flour, we could go on and on, but I'm sure you know what grains are, so I don't need to go through the whole list. But of course, if you're at all worried, then this is the place to ask the questions, because there's no such thing as a stupid question in the KISS groups, and anywhere. In fact, you can ask me any questions and I will always answer you truthfully and honestly. So grains gone. So it's not that we will eat a little bit of wheat, or that's not what we're going to do. During the May challenge, we're actually going to not eat grain. And the reason that I'm saying we're going to do this is because you will see a significant impact in health, in your gut health, and also in your ability to achieve your goals. So grain is gone, okay? The human body has only had grain for a tiny speck of its evolution. We are not evolved as grain-eating animals. So we're going to get rid of grain and see what that does, and give us an opportunity to really open our minds and see what real clean eating keto is all about. Okay, so grain, so root vegetables was the next thing. So we're talking about our potatoes, our carrots, our turnips, what else? Let me think, parsnips, that sort of thing. The reason that we're getting rid of root vegetables is because of what they are. Roots and root vegetables are man-made. So first of all, we've grown them to be really big. We've also grown them to be very high in starch, high in carbohydrates, and basically to be a cheap foodstuff and a way of feeding the population very cheaply. So things like potatoes, parsnips, carrots, they are the actual carbohydrate store for the plant. So when we're looking to ditch carbohydrates, we're really looking to avoid those root vegetables, because the carbohydrates that we use up when we eat root vegetables are far better used on green leafy vegetables, where there's far more nutrients and they're far more nutrient dense. So during the May challenge, we're saying cheerio to our root vegetables, and we're leaning more heavily on our green leafy vegetables, which you will find again on the KISS shopping list. So do get hold of that shopping list. The other place you'll get the shopping list is, of course, on the 28-day meal plan beginner's guide. All the shopping lists are in there. The benefits of obviously the 28-day meal plan is you don't have to think about what to eat, when to eat it, or which food you need to buy in order to plan your meals for the week. So that 28-day meal plan is there for you all. And as you probably know, there's 25% off at the moment if you use May challenge, all one word, capitalized, at checkout. So if you want to get the plan, now is a very good time to do it. You've got till the 3rd before that discount runs out. Anyway, enough of the commercial stuff. Let me move on. Again, what about onions? onions are higher in carbohydrates. So when we use onions in KISS, we use them sparingly. For example, if you're cooking a large meal for several people or several different meals, then one onion between 6 or maybe 8 portions really isn't going to be a big thing. However, what you wouldn't do is use one onion per person, or an onion for breakfast and an onion for lunch and an onion for dinner, because they are a higher carbohydrate vegetable. It's a root. It is the carbohydrate store for that plant. So just be very aware that onion is something that we use for flavor, and believe me, I love onion and I do eat it because it's nutritious and the flavor is unbelievable. However, it's not a vegetable that we would use as a side dish. It's very much used as a small amount to flavor food. So we just need to adjust our mindset a little bit to understand that onion is something that we can use some of, but not huge amounts of. I hope that makes sense to you. Yeah, so it's something that it's definitely used. However, we need to understand that we need to moderate the amount of onion that we eat because it is higher in carbs. So if we're looking to really lower our carbohydrate intake to be in that deep state of ketosis where we're not craving food, where we're sailing through the day in that ketosis state, then onion is something that we do smaller. Hi, Shauna. If you are watching, and there's 8 people watching at the moment, so if you are watching, feel free to jump in. You know me, I'm very approachable. You can ask me anything you like, so feel free to interrupt as I go through. And again, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to be able to drop me a message, then you need to join the KISS groups. Get involved. We're having a great time. Okay. So the other thing then, fruit. Ooh, people always go nuts when I talk about taking fruit out of the diet. Well, first of all, nobody ever died by not eating fruit, okay? Fruit is nature's candy. And yes, it's great and it tastes amazing. And the reason it tastes amazing is it's because it's sweet. Now, Mother Nature wants you to eat the fruit because she wants you to spread that seed through your digestive tract. That's what happens. Animals eat the fruit, the seeds come out the other end of the animal, and that is how the tree or the bush reproduces. So nature wants the fruit to be absolutely irresistible. Now it does that with not only its sucrose, but also with something called fructose. Now fructose is, first of all, irresistible. Humans are designed to seek it in the environment because we're designed to get fat, believe it or not, which is not great when we're trying to lose weight. But our brains are hardwired to look for sugar and sweet things and fructose in the environment. So we basically fruit addicts pretty much from birth, and it's part of our design. So fructose, not only is it irresistible, but it is uniquely fattening of the sugars as well. We very, very quickly store fructose as fat in our liver, as fat around our organs, as fat in our abdomen, and fat everywhere else. So, hi Dawn! Nice to see you. You're probably sunning yourself as usual. So I'm glad that you've caught up and come in. Yeah, so fructose then. So this is why we're going to give up fruit. And what is a fruit? What constitutes a fruit? It's all the normal stuff. We're talking about the bananas and the apples and the oranges and the kiwis and the pineapples and all that sort of thing. But I would also challenge you to have a look at how many berries that you're eating. Are you still able to moderate the amount of berries that you're eating, for example? And what I found is sometimes people are having issues with berries, and a couple of weeks off the berries really helps reset them, because it's easy to get that carb creep if you're adding berries, but you're also adding nuts, and you're also adding your onions, and you're also adding this, that, and the other. You can potentially get those carbs creeping back into the diet. So if you are at all worried about the number of carbs, or you're struggling to lose weight, and you really, really, really want to push down hard on the accelerator pedal for May, which is what a lot of us want to do, then have a look at fruit. and potentially that is somewhere that you can push the accelerator pedal down by cutting them out. Now, you won't lose out on vitamins because we're going to lean heavily on our green vegetables. We're going to have our leafy greens for our vitamin C and everything else, and our potassium and all these amazing things. So it's not that you're going to deplete your body just because you've given up fruit. There's lots of fantastic sources of vitamins out there. So if you are struggling and fruit is something that you still have very much in your diet, then potentially May is the time to let it go. So our fruit's gone forever. That's completely up to you. It's your journey. I mean, I know for me, because I've completely beaten my carb craving, occasional strawberry does nothing. However, if you're looking to spend the next month, for example, really pushing the accelerator pedal down, and you want to find ways to drop carbs in the diet, then fruit is definitely one to go because of fructose. And like I said, fructose is highly addictive. It makes you seek out more carbohydrates, so it makes that carb creep up and up and up, because you will naturally seek more carbohydrates when you are eating fructose. And also, fructose is one of the sugars which we very, very quickly store as body fat. It's more fattening than other sugars. So, for example, fruit is more fattening than honey. So it's just to be aware that fruit is an option, definitely. It's not something that you have to say goodbye to forever. But if you want to really, really push yourself in May, if weight loss is your goal for this month, and potentially for a lot of people, that's exactly what they want to do. They want to really push forward and see results. Then fruit is one of those places where there will be carbohydrates and there will be fructose in particular. And it's fructose that is really, really not our friend, because it's what we're addicted to. So just be aware. So if you want to keep eating fruit, that's completely up to you. You know, we're all grown-ups. We're just here to learn, and we're here to make our own decisions. But it's definitely something that we can think about. Okie dokie. So we'll move on from fruit then. A little bit more informed as to why we could ditch it. But the other things would be your beans, pulses, and legumes. Now, we're talking about peas, beans, lentils, chickpeas, all sorts of beans, that sort of thing. Now, we know they contain fiber and we know they contain protein, but they also, in fact, mostly contain carbohydrates. So we need to be aware that, again, if these little things are still left in the diet, if you're still eating your chickpeas and your hummus and your beans and your peas and everything else, and you really, really want to spend this month dropping weight and burning fat and being in ketosis and achieving the sorts of level of ketosis that I know you can achieve, and believe me, having endless energy to do what you want to do in your life and to fulfill your potential is something that everyone deserves to feel. So if these things are still in your diet, believe me, you can get fiber elsewhere, you can certainly get protein elsewhere, and you don't need those carbohydrates. So lean heavily on your green leafy vegetables, on your meats and your fats. Ditch the carbohydrates for a month and see where it gets you. Because believe me, when I finally let go of these foods, which I've been always told were healthy and necessary, when I let them go and I lent more on the ketogenic foods, magic happened. The weight just melted off and I hit my goal very, very, very fast. And I've been able to maintain this low weight since, because those things aren't in my diet. I'm very healthy. I have no health concerns. I'm a happy bunny. You know, I get my fiber, I get my protein, I get everything I need from keto foods. You don't need the high carbohydrate food. Okay, so again, that's another thing that we can do. All right, so moving along then. So I've said to grab the KISS food list. If you haven't got it, then you can head to the website, and once you subscribe at the top of the homepage, you just drop your email address in there. It sends you through to the download page, and you can download a PDF version of the KISS shopping list, which is the same shopping list that you get in the 28-day plan. But of course, unless you get a 28-day plan, you've got to kind of make it up from there. So we've got a shopping list, but then the meals are up to you. Okay, so the second part of the challenge is to eat 2 to 3 meals a day and to not snack. Okay, so why, first of all? Basically, every time we eat, whether we eat a high carb food, a protein food, or a fat, every time we chew and take in food, our body thinks that potentially we could be eating carbohydrates, and so it will stimulate an insulin response. So every time we eat, whether it's carbohydrates, protein, fat, whatever, we do release a little bit of insulin. So you can imagine if we are eating 6, 7, 8 times a day, then every time we do that, we're stimulating an insulin response, which not only will store any fat or any carbohydrates that's floating around as body fat, but what it'll also do is drop our blood sugar slightly so that we will feel more hungry. So what we don't want to do is be spiking insulin all day, because the whole point of being ketogenic is keeping insulin low. So the less often that we spike insulin, the more weight we will lose. I'm really glad. I'm really glad that you like the list. Hopefully it's pretty comprehensive. I couldn't do it for every type of cuisine in the world, because I'm sure there are so many foods that I'm completely unaware of. I guess it's a pretty much a Western Europe American list, but you know, I will try to make it diverse. So I want people to tell me what else should be on that list. That would be fantastic. Okay, so where was I? I was talking about meals and snacks. So we're going to eat either 2 or 3, depending on how hungry you are. And if you're new to keto, then you need at least 3 meals. Don't think about skipping meals when you're still dealing with carb cravings. That's really not a good idea. We're looking for a really good breakfast, a really good lunch, and a really good dinner, so that we don't have to snack, so that we're not looking for snacks through the evening and everything else. So that's key, really, is to make our meals big enough. And anyone who's been on a low-calorie diet or is keto and deciding to restrict calories, first of all, don't do that. They may find it difficult to actually eat enough and put enough food on a plate to get them to their next meal without needing those snacks. So it can be a bit tricky, but this is a really, really good habit to instill during this May challenge. There is no such thing as 11s, tea time, midnight snack, supper, all these variety of tiny meal times that we've put through the day, you know, having to have a snack with our coffee, or having to have a snack when we're watching TV, or having to eat just because we're at a cinema. These are completely alien concepts to a human body and a human metabolism. Food for humans has always been, until very recently, very difficult to find. And when we did find food, when we made that kill, or when we found that food source, we would feast, because ultimately we couldn't keep that meat very well, particularly in warmer climates. It was very difficult to preserve meat. So what we would do is make sure that we got the calories in. So we would eat the fat, we would eat the organs of the animal, which were very easy to eat, and then we would preserve the meat and carry that with us. So all this snacking is not really a thing, and it was actually, you know, something that's been brought in by the food industry in an attempt to make us eat more, which is obviously profitable for them. Excuse me, my dog is rummaging through a bag. 2 seconds. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. What she was after, who knows? Probably some sort of food in there. Okay, so 2 to 3 meals. So what does a meal look like? Well, in the files of this group, so if you're watching on YouTube, please join the group because it's in the files of the Facebook group. There is something called the KISS plate diagram. Please use that to put your meals together until you're feeling really, really confident. Basically, what the KISS diagram is, it shows you that a balanced ketogenic meal would have a fatty source of protein. So I'm talking about fatty meats, oily fish, eggs, that sort of thing, even avocados. Not so much protein in them, but certainly fat. But there's got to be like a fatty protein source on the plate. The other thing that needs to be on the plate is a source of natural fat. So even if we've got an oily fish or some meat, what I would say is to keep you really satisfied and to give you the energy that you need and to give you the fat to make those ketones is a source of fat. So either some great butter or some coconut oil, olive oil, either you can fry your vegetables in lard or like coconut oil again, but have a source of natural fat on that plate as well, because that's what will keep you really, really full, energetic, and it will maintain your metabolism. There's no such thing as low fat keto, and I want you to be absolutely 100% clear on this. If someone is telling you to drop fat out of your keto diet, please be incredibly suspicious of that person, because keto is not low fat. That's not how it works. There needs to be fat in the diet. So after your protein and your fat, the other thing that to put on that plate, and believe me, it doesn't really matter how much of the vegetables you put on, but everyone will have a different affinity to greens. Personally, I love them. I don't eat them every meal, don't get me wrong. However, I do like green vegetables. So I do have a side of broccoli or asparagus or cabbage or spinach or lettuce, you know, salady type stuff, salad leaves and whatever. So there's normally something pretty green on my plate. But every time I cook a vegetable or do a salad, I dress it. So I'm either dressing it with butter if it's a nice warm veg, or with olive oil or something similar if it's a salad. So there's always that fat there on the veg as well. Hi Cindy, hey. Hi Victoria, yeah, I love my green veg. Yeah, there's no getting away from it. I do love veg. I'm quite lucky like that. I know other people don't really like them, but I do. So there's usually either a salad or some sort of vegetable side. In terms of portions then, well, this is going to depend on you, because I'm 150 pounds, you may be 300 pounds, the woman down the road may be 100 pounds. So what we can't do is say how much food you're going to need. Basically, you need to eat until you're full, and then you test it, because in 4 hours you should be fine. If within 2 hours you're feeling hungry, and I mean actually hungry, not just bored, but if you're actually hungry in a couple of hours, not just thirsty either, so you can test that, have a drink to see if it works. If you are hungry, then potentially you didn't quite get that last meal right. So either the portioning was off or the amount of fat was off, because remember, it's the fat in our meal that really gives us that satisfaction and keeps us going for those number of hours. And in fact, it's the marriage between protein and fat which is particularly satisfying for the human body. Now that makes sense if we think that we evolved to take on protein and fat at the same time. If we made a kill, if we brought down an animal, then we would be taking in protein and fat, and that would be satisfying to us. So it's that marriage between protein and fat that really, really is key. And what you find is saturated fat is, you know, the best source, in fact, of feeling full and satisfied. Okie dokie. Yes, cabbage, yum, yum, yum. Okay, so going forward then, so we talked about that, no snacks. And I'm serious, it's the snacking that's really getting in your way. It's getting in your way of creating good enough meals. It's also getting in your way of weight loss. So the snacks, bye. Okay, so we're going to drink water. Very important. I've got water here. You'll always see me with water because, you know, I talk a lot. It does come with a downside that I do get thirsty. Anyway, so we're going to drink water. If you can't do water on its own, you can put a slice of lemon in there, or a slice of lime, or some cucumber, or a sprig of mint, or something like that. That's absolutely fine. Whatever it takes, drink water. Even if you only like sparkling water, that's fine. Just somehow get some water in. How much water? Again, drink to thirst. You don't have to completely drown yourself in water, but even if you get in 1 or 2 more glasses of water in a day, that would be fantastic. Okay, the other things we're going to do is we're going to replace electrolytes. If you're feeling thirsty and you can't quench your thirst with water, or if you're having headaches, because when we detox from sugar, this is one of the things that we're going to talk about over the next couple of days, but when we detox from sugar, there's potentially headaches, there's potentially a feeling of nausea and other side effects. Usually, when we replace our electrolytes, so I'm talking about sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, when we start replacing these sorts of things with diet, and potentially with just salting our food with pink salt and things like that, then we can get rid of a lot of those symptoms. Unfortunately, you can't always get rid of sugar detox symptoms completely. So just be aware that you may, even if you're replacing your electrolytes, you may still have some issues. But yeah, look into things like bone broth. I know some people drink pickle juice, but we can't even find pickle juice in the UK that doesn't have sugar. It's very difficult to find. So don't worry about that. Just get yourself some pink Himalayan salt, salt your food, drink your water, and check out the blog as well on the KISS website, because I've got a blog on there all about electrolytes. It should show you, related to your symptoms, what electrolyte may be the issue and how to manage that electrolyte balance. Okie dokie. I know I'm going really, really quickly through it, but I want to get out as much as I can. Should one add pink salt to water? That's completely up to you. I prefer it on my food. I don't like salty water, so it doesn't, you know, you don't have to add it to your water. It's completely up to you how you get your salt. I personally just add salt to foods. So we don't have a massive need for salt. It's only about a teaspoon of salt over an entire day. So by the time you've sprinkled some salt on your food, that pretty much does it. And of course, I have salted butter as well, and I know other people might have salted butter. So we are getting some salt. So by the time we've added salt to our food, that is pretty much enough. And if you're still having electrolyte issues after salting your food, then it potentially isn't sodium. It might be one of the other electrolytes. So definitely check out the blog. Okay, so moving along then. So like I said, if you haven't joined the Facebook group and you're watching this on YouTube, then it's time to join the group. It's a fantastic group. It's really, really friendly. Lots of interaction. Very, well, I try to keep it informal anyway, because I'm not a very formal person. So I hope you enjoy it and you will learn lots. And we're very open, and we'll discuss issues, even controversial issues. We'll discuss them in an adult manner, and we'll make sure that you get an informed answer when you do. Okie dokie. So yeah, join the Facebook group. Talked about the KISS plate diagram. Again, that's in the file section. Now, Facebook have been really, really naughty, and they've actually hidden the files tab for groups, which is just awful. So basically, if you go into the actual group itself, just to the side of the group name, there's a tiny little arrow. If you click on the arrow, then lots of options come down. One of the options is the file section. So that's where it is now. And you can go in there. There's loads of resources in the group. And I really do hope that you use them to your advantage, because I put them there and they're good. Okay. I didn't just put them there. Sorry, other people have put them there as well. This is a team effort. Sherry's going to Okay, so other things that I would love to see, I would love to see people using the hashtag May Challenge around their social media. What that will do is spread the news about what we're doing. It will engage more people in the ketogenic lifestyle. It will help more people to achieve the sorts of results that people are getting here. And believe me, the health results that we are having at the moment are mind-blowing. Personally, reversed diabetes, reversed systemic candida, reversed aching joints, reversed the fact that I looked 50 in my 30s, and all sorts of other things, and got rid of all my big baggy clothes and put me in the body that I was meant to have. And my only regret is spending my 20s and the beginning of my 30s in my previous body. But no one else needs to have that. Everyone can have what I've got now. This is just keto and time. Two things. That's it. So everyone can achieve this. Okay, so last but not least, if you've got any health concerns, then obviously be aware I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose your health conditions. I'm not here to prescribe a specific way of eating just for you. This is just about the ketogenic lifestyle. So it's very general. And of course, we all have individual needs. So if you've got medical conditions, if you're at all concerned about your health or anything that we're eating and whether it's suitable for you, then see your doctor. So that's just a slight disclaimer. As far as I know, everyone else has got better, but you never know. But hopefully everyone gets well when they start eating keto. But just a disclaimer to say that it is a very healthy way of eating. You know, it returns the body back to its natural state of health and well-being. However, if you're on medication, just be aware that when you start this May Challenge and when you start the ketogenic way of life or the KISS plan or whatever you're doing, that things will change rapidly. Your levels of blood sugar will drop rapidly. The amount of insulin you're secreting will drop rapidly. Your blood pressure will drop rapidly, and you will return to a state of health very, very quickly. So if you're on medication for something, you may need regular reviews of that medication because your needs for it may change very, very rapidly. So if you're taking insulin or metformin or things like this, then make sure they're being reviewed so that you don't have too much medication, because you will get better quickly. So just be aware that you may need to see your doctor sooner rather than later. Okie dokie. So, talk about acid cider vinegar. I don't take it. I don't take apple cider vinegar, so it's not my area of expertise. From what I know, then if you buy it with the mother, with the fermented bit still in it and with the probiotics, and it can help gut bacteria. There's also some studies suggesting that it helps with carb cravings, with hunger, and with insulin sensitivity as well. I have had no need for it whatsoever. Eating ketogenically does exactly the same thing. I eat fermented foods. I've taken probiotics as well when I haven't been eating fermented foods. So I'm getting all that anyway. So I've never really had to do anything to do with apple cider vinegar. It's not a natural food of humans. So yeah, it sells a lot of apple cider vinegar, and people are even making pills out of it now. It's not a natural food. It's something that humans have made up quite recently. I get that fermented food is excellent, and we have been eating that for millennia. So I get the probiotics thing, but there's loads of other places that you can get probiotics from. So is apple cider vinegar necessary for weight loss or keto or anything else? No. It's not necessary. It's completely a personal choice. I've not used it, so it's certainly not necessary for weight loss. But if you want to use it, then there's no issues with it. Just be aware that it has been known to damage enamel from your teeth as well. So just be aware that it is an acid, and it can cause tooth issues if you're drinking it straight or you're drinking it throughout the day. Then just be aware of your teeth. What else? What else did I talk? Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about mindset in particular. Now, people come to me a lot with weight loss stalls or feeling that they can't start, that they're struggling to jump in. Well, let me tell you, the only thing that is stopping you from jumping in is that thought. It's that particular thought. I got up this morning, I didn't even think whether I was going to be eating keto or not today, because the only food in my house is keto food. So that's why I was going to eat. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to have the food that you want to be eating on the May challenge. So use that shopping list, get the keto foods in, because that is an obstacle, isn't it? It's not having the food available to eat. So get your shopping in. Do the shopping, just don't make any more excuses, just buy the food. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the sugar. Now, the only person who can stop eating sugar is you. As much as I would love to jump through the screen and stop you from eating it, I can't. Nobody can stop you. The only person who is responsible for what goes in your mouth is you. And we will come up with all sorts of excuses in the first few weeks as to why we're still eating sugar, or why we haven't given up the processed food, or why we're not saying no to the people who are around us who are sabotaging us. So we'll come up with all these excuses, but let me tell you, they are excuses. There is nothing in your way, because you're an adult and you decide what goes in your mouth. You decide what you buy, you decide what you cook, and you decide what you eat, even if someone else cooked it. Nobody can force you to eat sugar. And if they are forcing you to eat sugar, then it's time as an adult to address that situation. Because if that person is a loved one, or a friend, or a relative, or whoever that person is, they need to know how important it is to you, to your health, to your mental well-being, to your future, that you don't eat the sugar and you don't eat the carbs. So again, nobody else can be blamed for what you put in your mouth. You are an adult and you need to take responsibility. And this is tough love, I guess. And yeah, it's tough love, and I know it is. But this is the coaching bit now at the end of the session, and you need to be aware of what you are putting in your mouth. I mindlessly ate chewing gum the other day for the first time in forever, months and months and months since I last ate chewing gum. Just did it mindlessly. It completely threw me off. I was off my game for 2 days because of the stupid xylitol that was in that chewing gum. That was me. I've got no one else to blame. My eyes were just off the ball at that moment, but I take responsibility for it and I learned the lesson. So you're the one now who's deciding if you're going to mindlessly eat the food that you haven't looked at what it is or where it's come from. That's your responsibility. It's your responsibility now. If something is in front of you and it's a carb, you don't have to eat it. Even if it's the only thing for that meal, you don't have to eat it. You will not starve to death before you can get home or get to a shop or get to somewhere else that has food. There is no excuse, okay? You can do this now because you are completely in control of your body. Now, the sugar will shout at you and nag at you and do all sorts of horrible stuff because it's addictive. And addictions are horrible, nasty things, and they will tell you all sorts of things. It will tell you that, but fruit is healthy. Carbohydrates are good for us. We've been told for decades to eat more whole grain. You have all these things going through your heads, and you'll have, but so-and-so cooked it for me. oh, they, you know, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or so-and-so said, you know, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I could go on and on for, about all these different situations. But ultimately, during the May Challenge, I want you to make adult decisions about what you do to your body. You know, this is body autonomy. This is taking control of the steering wheel, holding on tight, deciding on the direction and driving towards it. This is what the May Challenge is going to be all about. So I am going to be kicking butts and giving you a bit of tough love. But ultimately, I have heard every single excuse and obstacle you can imagine to starting, maintaining, sustaining this lifestyle. I've literally heard it all. And every single one of them is self-created. That obstacle is there because you don't want to get rid of it. If we just drop the excuses and realize that all we need to do is buy the right food, cook it, and eat it, everything else needs to start to dissipate and become what it is just an excuse. So whatever it is, whatever those thoughts are, I want you to take a step back now over the next couple of days and think to yourself, do I have to eat it? And because we all have body fat, no, you don't, because you're actually carrying around weeks, if not months, of stored fuel. So you will not starve until your next meal. It's just the carbohydrates telling you to eat more carbohydrates, or to eat and eat and eat. So we all have plenty. We have lunch boxes upon lunch boxes upon lunch boxes on our bodies right now, and we can choose to use it whenever we like. We're holding on to it. Yeah. That's fantastic. Well done, Claire. I love it too. As you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about it. Yeah. And I hope people do feel motivated, because we're coming to the end of the session now, and I think that after the tough love, I think you need some nice love. And I'm not always horrible to people. Sometimes I'm quite nice. And the whole reason that I'm doing this May Challenge is because we all deserve better. Unfortunately, we live in a world, in a society and in communities where health is not actually the priority of industry, of organisations, and even of our own governments. Health is unfortunately not a priority. Keeping people sick, reliant, paying their insurance, paying for drugs, paying for treatment, that's prioritised. So I think in this environment, in this world that we live in, sometimes people have to stand up for others. And the whole reason that I'm doing this May Challenge is because I know this works. This is something that could change millions of lives. And if I don't do this May Challenge, if I don't tell people, if I don't support people, if I keep this secret to myself, then that's bad, isn't it? That is a bad thing. If I have something, if I have knowledge and experience and everything else that I can give to others, to help them change their lives and to become role models and to become healthy people in their families and in their friendship groups who can talk about how they've become healthy, then we're having that ripple effect, aren't we? So that's what it's all about. And I just feel that you deserve this. You deserve the best. You deserve to get up in the morning feeling like I do. And I'm trying not to brag, but it's true. I feel amazing. And it's late now. What time is it in the UK? It's 10:30 at night. I have now been working for 14 hours and I'm still going, and I'm still revved up, and I'm still energetic, and everyone deserves to be able to do everything they want to do without pain, without inflammation, without carrying an extra person on their backs. You know, everybody deserves this. We are not born to be ill and to be sick and to be in pain. That's not how we're designed. We're designed to be lean and fit and to be able to hunt big animals. We're supposed to be strong and fast and you know, and energetic and everything that you. This is real. My previous body was given to me by a society that prioritizes ill health. That's the difference. Don't worry, Sherry, you can catch up. So I'm coming to the end now, and I just want you all to know that we're going to spend May not just talking about food. There's going to be lots about food, and we're going to talk about insulin and fasting and all of the amazing things that I've learned over the last 18 months. But the biggest thing we're going to do is we are going to make commitments to ourselves. And I know most of us are women, and women are not great at committing to themselves. We can commit to others, but actually giving ourselves a commitment and doing things of self-love and self-respect are sometimes difficult, and I completely get that. However, we are role models. We are wives, mothers, sisters, friends. We are matriarchs within our family. The future looks to us as role models to see how we should be shopping, how we should be eating, how we should be feeding ourselves, how we should be feeding our families, how we should be nurturing our health, how we should go into old age, how we should hit menopause. All these things, we are the generation that people are looking at right now, to how to look after ourselves. Now, we can decide to be sick and on medications and being a victim of the food industry and of our society that prioritizes ill health. We could decide to be victims of that, or we could be the ones who go the other way. And I know personally, I'm so far going the other way, and I just want to take you with me, because life on the other side, life as a healthy, lean, fit, active, damn sexy woman is just incredible. You need to do this. Everyone should be doing this. We should be teaching our kids, you know, this doesn't have to happen to anybody else. We can all be healthy, and it's completely up to us. Okay, so I'm going to leave you now because it is getting late, and at some point I'm going to have to calm down because I am going to have to sleep tonight, because tomorrow is day 2 and we start all over again. So talk about the challenge, get people involved. This costs nothing, but the value is life-changing. So if you know anyone who could learn something, then get them in the group, get them to subscribe to the YouTube channel or whatever, if they don't do Facebook or whatever, or just, you know, show them, please, the videos, and let's do this together. And let's make May the month that keto becomes just part of your life, and that you start to really enjoy it and value it and get the sorts of value that you achieve your goals. Don't just struggle with cravings and get nowhere. Let's just start doing it. And all you need to do is come onto these videos and give it a try. That's it. Just give it a try. If it doesn't work, then I'm to blame. However, I'm only going to tell you stuff that I know is going to work. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for those people who stuck around and watched the video. I know loads more people are going to be watching this on catch up, and people on YouTube, who knows? Let's hope this goes viral. I don't know. But yeah, have a fantastic night, everybody. And I will catch you tomorrow for more of the same, kicking butt, dropping excuses, ditching the carbs, embracing the fats, because we're going to talk about that, and some healthy eating and healthy mindset. Bye. You're welcome, Jackie. See you soon, everybody. Bye. Taking ages to stop.